We must kill more and more! We are not killing enough!
You're listening
to the podcast
Killing Robots.
All right, welcome to Killing Robots, episode 9.
Niner, as they say
I was
in
trying
business.
to. I was trying to think of.
Niner.
I was trying to think of how to say 9 in another language, and I couldn't think of what.
I think "neen" is that German.
9
El
is
Nino?
no in German.
That was close.
So,
what's
Spanish.
nueve?
9.
Or is that 7?
No, that's 9.
Yeah.
So, nailed it.
Killing Robots episode nueve.
Yes. I'm Kyle.
I'm Chaz.
And you are watching another rendition of Chats with Chyle.
We're very pumped about this one.
Today we are both rocking to the top
Baby.
to the top buttons. My mustache is coming in.
My beard is also very full.
No visor this week. Maybe we'll bring the visor back next week. We'll see.
Oh, we all three of us should have worn visors.
Absolutely.
Man.
So
I'm gonna have to borrow one of yours.
Yeah, we have extras.
Yeah.
So we're excited today because we get to interview our best bud and our personal hero,
Really
Sean.
appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Sean. We're excited to have you here, man.
Happy to be here.
that's
It's an honor.
Shaun. Shaun.
Yes.
I can
not-
never
not
spell
seen,
it right.
Not Shaun. It's just Sean.
Shaun.
Yeah.
But Sean.
Oh, hey, what's your full name?
Sean Claude Kelly.
Dude, Claude.
What's so funny about that?
Wow, that's the
Sean
meanest.
Claude? Like Sean Claude Van
Sean
Damme?
Claude. Sean Claude.
I've never heard that. Huh.
Oh, my goodness.
Interesting.
That's
Isn't it
amazing.
Jean-Claude? Jean-Claude?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You guys,
Jean-Claude!
you guys can call me Jean.
Dude,
for
maybe
now.
you're named after him and you didn't know it.
From what I understand, I'm named somewhat after a famous skier named Jean-Claude Keely.
Jean-Claude Keely. So Sean-Claude Kelly. It's amazing, the American version.
Which
Oh,
is
man.
it's weird because I can't ski at all.
I was kind of hoping
Can you snowboard
for.
a little bit?
I can snowboard. Yeah.
Nice.
I was kind of hoping for Jonathan to be your
That-
first name.
The Jonathan is.
You've
it's
heard that
one of my
before.
nicknames, yeah.
You've heard that
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Okay,
Great. Well,
Yeah.
Sean Claude.
dude.
I love that so much.
from now on,
For whatever
Sean-Claude.
reason, I was thinking about this morning, and I was like, oh, I don't even think I know Sean's middle name. I have a feeling it's going to be a good middle name.
Yeah.
I was not
I
let down.
cannot believe that. That's amazing.
I was not let down. So with Chats with Chyle, we usually just chat it up. So we
Okay.
have no agenda. We may go through a segment that we like to do later. We'll see if we can get it off the top of our head because we didn't prepare.
Okay.
Classic.
No, we could do it. I got the notes from last time right here.
Oh, great.
Just use the same.
Great. So why don't you start by just telling us about yourself, what you do, your family, stuff like that.
Okay. I am 40 years old, almost 41, coming up, and grew up in Leavenworth, and I am married to Nicole, and I have 2 daughters, Hayden and Brielle. Hayden's 10 and Brielle's 6, and we live here in East Wenatchee. What else do you want to know?
What do you do for a living?
I work as a paramedic firefighter in Lake Stevens, and I've been doing that since 2000. Is when I started my EMS career.
EMS.
Emergency Medical Services.
Oh,
Care.
that's close.
S. Care.
Oh.
It's amazing.
Yeah. The C is pronounced like an S. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
soft C that we were talking about.
Right, but yeah, there's only one sound that an S makes, though. It's never cut.
To be honest, I stopped listening after you said EM.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, that explains why we refer to you as our personal hero.
Yeah, every time you come into the office, we like to sing to you songs.
Yeah.
One of our favorite songs is "There Goes My Hero" by Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
So-
that's good.
You are that hero.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think I've told you guys are my heroes. So
We're this lovely hero circle.
yeah,
Even though
So
we make
it
fun of
works
your
out.
middle name.
yeah, you can make fun of me all you want.
Perfect.
My middle name, my car,
Yes.
whatever.
So on the way over here, we were kind of missing out because we felt like it was Video Diary Gold, but we weren't thinking about it. We actually got to ride in your new car.
Yeah, I'm proud of it. It's a Prius, Toyota Prius.
It's a Prius, and you are proud.
I am Prius proud. Oh man, that's a good T-shirt idea.
It is. A little club, you know,
Yeah.
Prius club. Is there like a wave when you see like another Prius in the streets?
Not yet, but there needs to be.
Absolutely.
Need to come up with
like
something.
the motorcycle, you know.
Yeah.
The motorcycle
Tip of a
wave.
hat. Yeah, something.
A little flash. A little white
maybe a
flash.
wink.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's tough though
Very
because you're
creepy.
going so fast.
Yeah.
That it's.
I mean-
Yeah, those Priuses, man. You're just
Hey,
like
he showed us
blazing.
power mode, bro.
Dude, power
Yeah.
mode.
So I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty impressed by the car. It had more space than I thought. It had 4 doors. It went very fast. You had basically R2-D2 built into your dashboard that was telling us all kinds of helpful information.
Yeah.
It parallel parked by itself.
After a
And-
few tries.
After a
After a
few
little
tries,
bit
a
of
few mishaps. Don't worry, we left a note. No, parallel parked, but it did. The second time, it really pulled through.
Yeah.
And you never have to buy gas again. So
Yep.
take that.
No. 9 gallons at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's
you only
it.
have a 9-gallon tank,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
I-
how long does that last you? I mean,
450 miles.
which is about
Wow.
1 day at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
back and forth.
that's why you bought it.
Yeah. Yep. It's been good. It's not something I ever would have done before. I've made fun of a lot of my friends that own Priuses, so it's
Humbling.
yeah, very humbling.
Do you know anybody else who owns a Tundra and a Prius?
I do. Actually.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
One of my coworkers, he lives in Leavenworth. He has a Tundra and a Prius.
Dude,
Oh,
there you go.
it's a new thing that's happening.
Absolutely.
Because anytime you're worried about
It's
your
good.
man card, you just whip the Tundra out and run over
It's a 1-2
people.
punch. Yeah.
Run over people. Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, man, the gas mileage thing is a real deal. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
more power to you.
Absolutely.
Pun intended.
That's good. good.
So we do want to hear more of your story because we love your story, and you can go wherever you want with that. But before we dive into that, I want to talk about another story
Okay.
because I love this story because it's amazing. So this year I turned 33. I think. I can't remember if it was 32 or 33. To be honest,
Ish.
I'm pretty sure it's 33. And I had a birthday party, and I invited my closest friends, so I invited you. And you unfortunately couldn't make it because you said you had to work. And I was like, no worries. But then you said, hey, I'll save a life in your honor. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So that night at my birthday party, I don't have my cell phone on me, but I get a text from you that says something along the lines of, I saved a life in your honor tonight, buddy.
Yeah, I thought that was
Period.
pretty cool.
Happy B-Day.
Happy birthday, I saved a life in your honor tonight, buddy.
So it happened.
Yeah.
So it happened. And
Right.
then, so is as much detail as you can. Obviously, we want to protect people's privacy and stuff like that, but as much detail as you can go into, will you tell us that story of the
Yeah.
night of my birthday party?
Yeah, well, just to correct you slightly, I said I will do my best, or
Right.
I will try to save a life in your
Yes.
honor. Because honestly, it's not very often that we have calls. We call them calls that we go on where we get to make that kind of a difference. Most of them are just easy calls, just typical chest pains or shortness of breath or
People
things
who
like that.
overdosed on marijuana.
Yeah, that too. And they're freaking out, man. Yeah, a lot of that. So I texted you and just knowing that there's, it doesn't happen very often. But that day, I think it was in the afternoon, we got a call for a motor vehicle accident where there was a car and a motorcycle involved. And on the way there, we got reports. There were multiple reports coming in. So we heard that the motorcyclist had 2 riders and they collided with another car, and there were amputations that had occurred. So we knew it was serious. Showed up and was at a very busy intersection in Lake Stevens, and people everywhere. And as we pulled in, it's kind of a chaotic scene. We were one of the first people there, and we could see the 2 people laying off on the side. You could see the Jeep. And so on the way there, we're just coming up with a plan, my partner and myself. as to how we're going to deal with it. And so I got out and went over and talked to the first guy, and we use this thing that is kind of you can see from across the road when you're looking at somebody whether or not we call it sick, not sick. Sick means that they have life-threatening illnesses or injuries. So I could see as I exited the ambulance that this guy was sick. He was super pale and very sweaty, and
He's in trouble.
He's in trouble, and he was also missing his left lower leg. So went right over there, and somebody, a bystander, was an off-duty nurse, I think, had taken his belt off and improvised a tourniquet on his leg, and that helped a lot. It slowed the bleeding down. So I just put one of our tourniquets right above hers and cranked it down, and that seemed to completely stop the bleeding. And talked to him and got him onto a backboard, and in those cases we try to get him into the back of the ambulance into the hospital as soon as possible, where they can go to surgery if needed. So I was taking care of him. My partner was taking care of the other rider who was also down. They had similar injuries, and so we got him in the back of the ambulance and determined that his blood pressure was really low. He was in shock, so started some IVs and gave him some IV fluids, and it was only about a 10-minute drive to the hospital. So it was definitely a legitimate save in my book. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Absolutely, man. And that's why you're our hero. Because
Totally.
you're out there, save people's lives.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, it was a bummer that you weren't at my party, but I'm glad you were at the scene to save this guy. So, good job, buddy. And I will take that honor. It's kind of like a ricochet honor.
Yeah.
I can basically tell everyone that I saved a life at my birthday party because
It was in your honor. Yeah. Yeah.
I will allow you to go to work. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Not everybody could do that.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. That's for sure.
Yeah.
High stress, and it's kind of thinking about it. It's kind of strange because before I was saved, I had a different mindset. Basically, I was doing things for myself, and now it's much more rewarding because I understand that I'm doing everything that I do at work or at home throughout my entire life is to the glory of God. And now it's being placed in the right spot. So, yeah, it's good.
Were you are you a high adrenaline seeker?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Do you think that most people who kind of get into that line of work tend to be that wired that way?
Yeah.
It's they need
Yep.
they need a high level of simulation to be
they excel
to feel alive or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They excel in tense situations. Yeah, for sure.
I kind of, I never knew you before you met Jesus, so it's because I think of you as the chillest person. You're so chill, level 10 chill. Was your personality different, or you've always been kind of
Personality was definitely different. Yeah.
a little broier?
What do you mean by that?
I just mean showboaty and walking around kind of with your chest puffed out.
Yep.
And kind of I'm
Just a false pride and
totally.
yeah.
I'll never drive a Prius.
Self-righteous. Yeah, never. No, I would never. I will never be caught in a Prius. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I think that's a great segue. One quick question I'll ask just to see if there's anything that's just off the top of your mind. I think we have one spectrum of stories where obviously you're saving people's lives. Is there just a funny story off the top of your head that you can think about where it's the opposite spectrum? Gosh. If there's nothing, that's totally fine. But I just throwing it out there.
Yeah, there's tons of them. That's one of the best parts is there's a lot of comedy in what we do because we're just dealing with regular people and there's always something funny. So
you show up, you're like, you're fine. And turn around, go home. Back to the station.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is a story about my mom. I had to respond to her house in my Prius yesterday because she hurt herself, and she never hurts herself. So I don't know if I should share the details of that yet, but
okay.
That'll be funny someday.
Okay, a little fresh right now.
Maybe a little fresh.
It's pretty fresh.
What about what about a call on the job though? I mean,
yeah, there's always funny stuff going on. I think most of the time it's just depends on who you work with. I mean, we handle stress through kind of a particular type of humor, and it's not always the kind of humor that it's acceptable to mainstream society.
Right.
I think it's called gallows humor.
Little dark.
Dark humor.
Dark humor. Yeah.
But that's just one of the ways that
Yeah.
kind of deal with the stress.
Maintain your sanity.
Yep. But there's always funny stuff going on, man. We see all kinds of different people, and nothing particular is coming to mind.
Yeah.
No worries.
So well, let's just get into your story then.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's get into that.
Where do you want me to start?
You can start wherever you want to.
You can tell any part you want. You can. Totally up to you. We usually try to hit about 40 minutes, so I think at this point you probably got like a half hour if you want it.
Okay.
So.
Grew up in Leavenworth, and I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and
Okay, wow, there's a talking point immediately.
Yeah, youngest of 8
Big
kids.
family.
Big family. My dad was married to 3 different women to get those 8 kids. Family was Catholic growing up, so I remember going to the Catholic church every now and again, but not regularly. And my memories of going to church were that there were some parts I loved about it, but there were other parts where I felt kind of out of place, like I didn't belong. So, and then there were some other memories where people I felt were just super judgmental, and that kind of gave me a kind of a negative feeling about going to church. So, my parents divorced when I was 3, and I can remember way back to when I was to that time, and that was a rough time, I remember, but they remained friends after that, so that was good. But my dad was kind of just all over the place. He worked as a drug and alcohol counselor, and so he was always out of town. He wasn't really present. When he was present, he was a great guy, super loving, and just a kind-hearted guy, but he was always trying to go out and kind of help as many people as he could and save as many people as he could, but from drug and alcohol addiction, but he just wasn't really there daily for us kids. So that was a big hole, I think, in my heart from an early time. But my mom, on the other hand, was basically a single mom, and she did an amazing job with considering the circumstances. We didn't have a ton of money. She worked as a drug and alcohol counselor as well, and but she she had multiple relationships growing up. She was married a few times, and it's just there's some traumatic memories from that as well. Just so the guys that she would choose to have a relationship with just weren't very good guys. So that too created a pretty big hole in my heart. But I kind of dealt with that just by kind of just going into a self-protective mode. So I decided that I would kind of close myself off, emotionally, and kind of protect myself. And so basically it was all up to me. So my siblings were awesome. I love my brother and my sister that I lived with growing up, and I was the youngest of 8, so all the others were out of the house. And,
Right.
And but we were really close. My brother Mike and my sister Katie, really close growing up. And Leavenworth was an awesome place to grow up. Small town, everybody knew each other, and I was always riding my bike everywhere, and had a good group of friends. And so I think when I've got some great memories of my childhood, and also some not so great memories, but that really helped kind of shape who I became. And basically it was I became the guy you're talking about, the just kind of doing things on my own, kind of self-righteous, prideful, but at the same time I remember just having a heart for people in general, and so I would feel guilty when I didn't treat people the way thought they should be treated. So I think back of times in my life where I felt like, now that I look back on it, God was kind of pouring out some grace on me at certain times in my life, and I would recognize that in the moment, but I would quickly just dismiss it and continue on my way of doing things on my own. So did that just most of my life, and it wasn't until 2016 when Pastor Josh got a hold of me, texted me, and asked if Nicole and I would be in a Marriage Strong group, a small group with he, and it happened to be my brother Mike, and my sister-in-law Gina, and my cousin BT, and his wife Sarah, and Josh and Sharon. And when he first got a hold of us, both Nicole and I were like, "Oh no, this isn't for us. We're not. That's not something that we could feel comfortable doing." But I would say that out loud, but in my heart I was thinking, "Oh man, I feel like this is something that we need to do." And kind of going back in time through our marriage, Nicole and I were married in 2007, and we had a really tough time just right off the bat. Mm-hmm. We weren't very good to each other, and we weren't best friends like I think you should be when you start out a relationship, and both of us were thinking back on it. Just kind of had very set habits, and just kind of did things very selfishly, and just thinking about it for myself is just all about self-protection, and so we had gone through some pretty rocky times in our marriage, and especially just right off the bat, and just barely hanging on as far as our marriage goes. So 2016 came, and Nicole and I knew we had tried to get help with marriage counselors and just kind of put Band-Aids on the huge gaping wounds in our marriage. And so Pastor Josh contacted us. We initially said, "I don't think that'll work," and I told Josh that Nicole really didn't feel comfortable. She thought she'd be crying the whole time, and Josh said, "Oh, that's cool. I'll be crying the whole time too."
Right.
And so just out of the blue, about a week later, he texted again, and both Nicole and I talked to her about it again, and both of us had a change of heart during that time, and we said, "Okay, let's do it. We've got to do this. I don't know what it is, but we got to give it a try." And that was it. That set things in motion that absolutely blew my mind and changed my heart. And started meeting at their house up in Leavenworth, Josh's parents' house up in Leavenworth, and right off the bat, I remember just starting to read the Bible, and it's really the first time that I had opened it up and just continued to dig into the Bible ever. I'd tried before throughout my childhood, and nothing really. It just didn't seem, you couldn't understand any of it. Didn't make sense. But during that time, we were meeting with our Marriage Strong group, and at the same time, we were doing a men's DNA session, and I started reading the book of Romans, and right off the bat, there was just something that lit fire inside me, and I couldn't get enough. I was reading those, texting Josh. I'd like to go back and look at those texts, because I was just constantly texting him questions, and I had a ton of questions for him, and thinking back on it, man, I really appreciate him, because he was super patient, and at the same time, it was funny, I thought, because I knew he knew the answers to all my questions,
right?
But he wouldn't give them to me. He was like, "Okay, well, this is where I think you need to go read."
Right.
And so he would direct me on the right path, so that I would find the answers on my own. And at that same time, we started going to Grace City, and the Marriage Strong sermons were super powerful. And Nicole and I are not the kind of people that show our emotions and open up and just kind of let the walls fall down. And right off the bat, during those sermons, both she and I were just in tears, and listening to what he said. And we both felt like he was talking right to us, and into our marriage and into our hearts. So what I now know is he was just preaching the gospel, and he was doing such a great job that it just knocked us over, and we couldn't get enough. So we've missed very few sermons since.
Yeah.
But I just continued, just right off the bat, I was given this amazing gift of the love of God's word, and I would just wake up early in the morning. I'm not a morning guy, but I would wake up early in the morning, go get some coffee, sit out on the couch, and start reading my Bible, and making notes and highlights and writing down questions. And I remember Nicole would wake up for work and come out and just kind of look at me like, what is going on with this guy? And
this isn't the person I married.
No, this is not the person I married. Yeah. And so I got through the book of Romans, and chapter 8 really just kind of blew my mind, and still does. And I got to the book of Mark, and I was reading the book of Mark, and I got to chapter 9, and I think it's verse 23, but I got to that verse where it's a story about a father that comes to Jesus and asks him to heal his son. And during that, reading that was my moment. I broke down and just got on my knees and I prayed, and I could. The man says, "I believe, help my unbelief." And in that moment, those were my words, and I prayed those words, and everything changed, man. I was free. I felt this huge weight come off my shoulders, and I just felt a huge sense of peace. I'd never had peace like that in my whole life, and that's one. I love that peace. I love that feeling. That's why I still read the Bible every day.
Right.
Because I know now that before that moment, all throughout my life before that, I was at war with God and at odds with Him, and I was in rebellion. And during that moment, when I read those verses and I prayed that prayer, I was set free. And yeah, man, it's a pretty powerful moment for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we just continued on with our Marriage Strong group. Nicole started opening up a ton during that time, and meeting with Sharon a bunch, and that was it. I got baptized in May of that year out on the property, and
that's right. One of the first ones out on the
yeah.
That was the first time we ever baptized people out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was funny during that time, just Josh, I felt like I couldn't say no. So Josh would ask me to do these hard things, and where before I would have said, there's no way I could do that. But he gets a hold of me, we go have lunch, and and I had told him that I'd been wanting to get baptized, and that's when he asked me, okay, well, are you willing to share your story? And originally I was like, yeah, I can write it down, and I'd love to share it. And he said, no, I want you to share it out loud in front of everybody at our church.
1,000 people.
Yeah. And so for me, I do not like public speaking, and it's always made me very uncomfortable. But even then, I couldn't say no. I was like, okay, I've got to do this. It's something I've got to do. And he reassured me and said he'd be right there next to me the whole time. And so it was just an awesome experience, just getting up there and being able to conquer that fear and share what was going on, and how Jesus broke through and was saving me in that moment, and saving my marriage, and setting the course of our family on a new path that it's never been on. And so it was a pretty special time in our lives, and it's pretty good memories of that year. That following year, Nicole got baptized. We continued with our small groups, and I think that's where like the most powerful moments were happening were during our small groups, and both Nicole and I opening up and asking questions and digging in, and so yeah, she that next year asked to be baptized on Easter out of the property as well. So Yeah, then we get to this last year, and as you guys know, I started on the story team, and I was helping to videotape baptisms at this year's Easter, and had my daughter Hayden with me, and we were filming. She's right next to me, and I could just kind of see her watching these baptisms, and right off the bat, it was soon after we started the baptism, she tugged on my shirt and said, "Dad, I want to get baptized." And I said, "I know, yeah, we've been talking about this for a while. I'm going to sign you up, and we're gonna do it." And then she looked at me with tears in her eyes, and she said, "Dad, no, I want to get baptized right now." And initially my thought was, well, we're committed right now, and we've got a job to do here, so let's just hang in there, let's do our job. And then immediately I felt, okay, that's not the right way to go about it. So I looked over at Chaz, and I told him what was going on. And he said, "Dude, give me your camera, get in there." It's like, yes. Yeah. So we went back there, and she changed and into some shorts and a shirt, and we came out there, and she got baptized that day. And I could just see it in her eyes. I've got it pictured right now that she was just in that moment full of the Spirit, and just wanting, like, knowing this is it. This is the moment where I want to get baptized. And I was like, okay, I've got to quit getting in the way of this kind of stuff. So yeah, that was awesome. So that's that. And Brielle is super sweet. We do Bible study with her, and it's almost like her faith right now is just super solid, and she's only 6. And it's like she's always talking about Jesus, and she's always thinking about other people and asking, I wonder if they know Jesus, and how can we pray for them, and things like that. It's like, oh my goodness, thank
it's amazing.
You, Lord. Yeah. So
just imagine the different path that it's like just absolutely night and day. Different path that they would be on right now.
Yep.
If you hadn't gotten saved, and Nicole, and that's just incredible. It's just literally a tale of two kingdoms, tale of two families. It's just totally opposite.
Yep.
But I mean, that's amazing. It's like look what the Lord has done through you, in just a few short years, in terms of there's just a whole new, you've created an entirely new, obviously by God's grace and with the help of the Holy Spirit, but it's like you've created a whole new culture in your home, whole new culture, to where now your 6-year-old daughter is concerned about other people's faith and salvation. It's like, well, that's just the overflow of what she's getting every single day. Not just in words and talk, but in real action and fruit and behavioral differences, and mom and dad's solid relationship, and it's like it would have been a very different story.
Absolutely. I can still see that story, and it's still pretty clear to me, so I'm grateful.
It's amazing.
I'm grateful. Yeah.
Now that we're post Jesus, now what, not post Jesus, but post salvation moment. You've been walking with Jesus for, has it been 5 years now or something?
3
3 years.
3 years.
So now, what are some spiritual fruit that you're seeing on your tree? Just with like your husband life, your dad life, your work life. Like what is just some fruit that you're experiencing?
I'd say that that overwhelming sense of peace that I was blessed with was an instant help to my family. Because before I didn't realize what my role was as a father and as the head of our household, and so now I think now that I am experiencing that peace, I'm taking that faith that I was blessed with by God's grace, and I'm putting it into action everywhere that I can. So every opportunity that I get with Nicole and the girls, we're talking about, like, how can we apply this to the gospel, and how does this fit into our new lives daily? And so I think for me, it's like the gift of just absolutely loving to read the Bible every day is where it starts for me, and just keeping up with my routine in doing that, and then sharing that, what I'm learning with the girls, and applying like things that I'm learning with people at work. And it's kind of a strange dynamic at work, because a lot of the people I work with are friends, really good friends that I was close with before Jesus. So that's been kind of difficult to try and navigate and understand, but it's a lot easier now than it was initially. But I'd say that the biggest area, I think, is just the amount of peace that I have now. I always tried to maintain that appearance of being at peace, but I wasn't on the inside. Always anxious and fearful and kind of self-serving. And so now that's flipped, and I'm allowing the Spirit to work through me. I think that people just notice, and they kind of gravitate to that a little bit more. And so I'd say just my increased faith and trust in God's word and trust in His promises, and my willingness to share it with other people, I think is where I'm seeing the fruit the most. And just I think about the idea of self-sacrificial servanthood, and I think that is something that really ties in with my job. And whereas before I wasn't doing it for the right reasons, but now the Lord's going to reset my path in that area, and I'm doing it for Him. And people just notice that. They notice a change, and it's a genuine love for others. And I think there's a lot of different specific verses that when I first started reading the Bible just kind of made me stop in my tracks and like focus on them, write them down, memorize them, because I was like, I could feel like this is where the Lord wants to change my heart. And so one of them is James, I think it's 1:19, is it, where he says everyone should be quick to listen and slow to
Right.
speak.
Yep.
Slow to become angry, and that was a big one for me, because that was something that I really needed to work on. So I'm a much better listener now. I'm much better, partly thanks to Josh too, at asking good questions. Not just coming out and saying things and trying to fix things myself, but just asking good questions and being a good listener and hearing people out, and not trying to fix things myself. And for our family, I think it's just being somebody that Nicole can rely on and trust, and she knows that I'm solid, I'm steady, and I think that just puts her at ease. And I think I'm now just doing better at doing my job, doing a better job at leading our home, and so that I think brings her some comfort. And, for our girls, we're just learning how to raise them in Jesus, and it's not something that Nicole and I know about. So we're learning. We're digging in. We're going to parenting classes with Mr. McPherson, and that's just been amazing. Just learning how to do things God's way and not our own way. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that the peace, that was kind of the word you kept saying, and I think that's just very true. Very evident. That is a fruit of the Spirit. It makes the list.
Yeah.
And that's but it's just like every time I encounter you, and I would say especially you with your family, it's like, wow, you guys just kind of exude peace everywhere you go. Just that is supernatural. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on the outside, on the surface level, you could just be like, oh, they're just chill people, and it's like, no, it's not just that they're chill. It's not a personality thing. It's absolutely a spirit a fruit of the Holy Spirit. It's the empowerment of the Holy Spirit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And just your daughters are very sweet, you know, and Nicole's awesome, and it just seems to be like a lot of, there's order, you know, whereas before there probably was a lot of chaos, and there would be still probably even more chaos.
Yep.
And now it's like, it's just things, it's just order, you know, and you can just tell it's just like everything's right. Relationships are right.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone loves each other here.
Yeah.
Sisters love each other. Parents love each other. Mom and dad love their kids. Kids love mom and dad. And there's just the dynamics, all the horizontal relationships going on there. Quite a bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even for a family of 2 kids. I mean, you got four people. There's a lot of
going on.
a lot of diagonal lines going on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's that yeah. I mean, obviously, it's like as a result of sin, as a result of the fall. It's like the natural state of things is not for that to work out. That just it just breaks down. You know what I mean? Naturally, peace is not a natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a spirit given thing. So
Yeah.
anyway, man, that's just
Yeah, and I would just piggyback on
Awesome.
that and say that there's a peace, and then there's also just gentleness and kindness. You know, I just absolutely experienced that from you. That's why it's funny thinking about trying to picture you pre-Jesus, you know, because I've always just known you as peaceful, gentle, and kind, and it's just funny kind of thinking of you as this tough dude, you know, and because that's just not what I've experienced from you, and that's just the fruit of the Spirit, which is just awesome. So I think last thing I'll ask before we'll go check the time here in a second, but if someone was listening that was maybe on the fence or wondering about Jesus, what would you tell them?
Man, if you're on the fence, just don't hesitate. I can think back at times in my life where I felt like I was getting closer to digging in, and for me it was like, just know that there's that same level of peace that I've experienced is available for anybody. And so don't dismiss it. If you're getting those feelings in your heart, like, gosh, I should check this out, or I should go talk to these guys, and come talk to any one of us anytime, and we'll tell you about it. And I know I can still feels fresh enough for me where I can think back of like, what was my mindset before? And for me, it was like there were always different things, worldly things that would come up and that would cause me to dismiss spiritual things. And so I'd say if you're on the fence, just jump off the fence on the Jesus side and start running, and don't stop. And it'll change your life. It'll change the life of your family, and potentially generations of your family. And so I think that's it.
It's awesome, man. It's great.
awesome.
Did you just check it?
Yeah, we're done.
Cool.
So that's great. This has been Killing Robots, episode 9. We've been talking with Sean Claude.
Van Kelly.
Everyday hero, paramedic firefighter / follower of Jesus. So actually probably follower of Jesus first, and everything else after that. But
Absolutely.
so thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been an honor.
It's been awesome.
Love you guys.
Love you too, buddy. Deuces.
Peace.